you guys know I'm a sucker for Ethereum. I mean, I'm definitely one of the biggest shills that Vitalik's got. But Ethereum isn't without its shortcomings. Paired with slow transaction times, high gas fees, and a high barrier to entry for consumers, it's really not a good look. Especially more recently, centralized node hosting just caused some major wallet and exchange providers to shut down withdrawals for ERC20 tokens and Ether. With all that being said, I'm going to go into 3 projects today and show you what you should be looking at just in case you want to hedge your bets against Ethereum if things were to ever go south. Let's get into it. That's right. For project number 1, we're talking about Komodo. And let's go ahead and touch on some of the things that Komodo I think has a little bit over Ethereum. And the first thing is going to be the entire framework. So with the entire framework, you can actually do a lot of things. It's pretty much Komodo's version of smart contracts for Ethereum, right? Where essentially you can fully customize your own blockchains. As you can see, they have 18 different parameters here that you can use to customize it, including the block time, the pre-mine supply, how the rewards are distributed, halvings, pretty much anything that you would really want for a coin if you want to make one, right? And I think it's a lot more customizable than actually making one on Ethereum, because these are really just side chains that are not really built on top of Komodo, but kind of built to the side of it that run parallel, you could say. But at the same time, they're able to take all the benefits that the Komodo chain does have and apply it to their own. Additionally, the entire framework also offers what they call Antara modules as well, which essentially is just a library of different things that you can add on to your blockchain as well. So price feeds, an oracle, faucet, stable coins you can use, rewards, channels. All different things that you can do to pretty much set your token, or really coin in this case, aside or apart from other different projects, especially ones that are just built on Ethereum as an ERC20 token, because those are obviously limited to what Ethereum can do, whereas Komodo smart chains pretty much have their own say in what they do. They have their own governance, and it's entirely separate, essentially chain on its own. So that I think Komodo definitely has over Ethereum. Just in general, if you're going to make your own project, Komodo seems kind of like the way to go. And as you can see, it's even better for developers, right? It even lowers the barriers for entry, as they say. It's language agnostic, so it can be called from any type of programming language, whereas Ethereum is really just Solidity and Viper. I could be wrong on the Viper part, but I know it's Solidity at least. They say it's easier to develop on the entire framework as well, since it is more or less kind of, I don't want to say it's done for you, but depending on, whether you actually decide to code it or not, or if you want the team to do it, the Komodo team that is, they might charge a little fee here or there. But it's definitely a lot easier in terms of, what you want to build exactly, right? Not to mention they also have native app support. So they can say that all your games, contracts, and whatnot are going to be stored in your own smart chain natively, right? And again, the way these ERC20 tokens differ is that all of it's on the Ethereum blockchain. When you have an ERC20 token, all it is a smart contract. It's not its own chain. Keep that in mind. The Atomic DEX, one of Komodo's premium products, out over here, 0.3.0 beta over here in the open. You can actually download this on their GitHub and just try it out yourself, really. But it looks amazing. The last time I reviewed this, it was definitely, honestly, it didn't look as nice as this at all. It still looks pretty good though. But in this case, you can see that we got a couple of features here. Number one, their pricing. They actually get some of the pricing from some of these tokens from Band Protocol, which essentially is, if you're familiar with Chainlink, a price oracle feed, right? Where they're essentially taking the prices of coins from different types of providers and kind of mixing them together to get one price that should make more sense than the others. So it's really just used so there isn't price manipulation within these exchanges. But the point is that Band Protocol allows them to do that in a decentralized manner, rather than using a oracle that is centralized, of course, that can mess with that. So definitely awesome to see that incorporated in, of course, the decentralized exchange, as it only makes sense. But the other thing that they added here too was the ability to add ERC20 tokens as well. As you can see, you can add anything from Etherscan on here, and it looks like they even have a little video to show you how to actually do it, since it isn't as intuitive, I guess you could say, as Uniswap. But again, still, fire implementation, they know that they pretty much need to be able to cater to the audience or the customer, which is probably what people are going to want to do. Everyone's trading ERC20 or ERC20s right now on Uniswap, that is. So it definitely makes sense to add that on here. So again, shouts out to the team because this looks beautiful. And the last thing I did want to mention about this was the actual charts. Beautiful, guys. I mean, I don't know how many times I just said beautiful, but honestly, it looks great, right? So if we're taking a look at the actual chart itself, this is actually coming from a trading view. Now, I know what everyone's going to say, yeah, it's not really that decentralized, because trading view is, one source. And usually I would agree, but to be honest with you, this looks amazing. Come on, bro. Honestly, I'll take a centralized chart for anything that looks this beautiful any day. I mean, wonderful. This looks awesome. So just in general, I think this is great. The team is doing amazing with this. And again, this is only the beta, right? So definitely going to be one of the prime features for Komodo and any smart chain in that case going forward. Now onto the actual pricing for KMD. It's actually at its lowest it's been in quite some time. As you can see, the high was about $10 all the way back, near that huge rally near late 2017, early 2018. Where it hit around like $10. And in this case right now, it's about 47 cents as of making this video. Yeah, 47 cents. I mean, again, you're kind of cashing it at pretty much one of its lowest points in history, essentially. I wouldn't say in history, but at one of its lowest points, definitely in more recent times. And honestly, dude, listen, you know what they say? Buy the dips, sell the high. Is that what it is? Yeah. Yeah. Buy the dips and sell the high. I don't know what the actual phrase is. Jeez, I almost forgot. Anyways, Komodo's fire. All right, on to the next one. All right, guys, we're talking about Polkadot. So Polkadot was brought up to me a couple of months ago, actually, when it first went live back in May 26th of this year. And it was pretty much being pitched as this Ethereum killer, like literally just straight up, right? And I think I know why. And clearly, it's because Gavin Wood, who is the co-founder of Ethereum, actually, and was the CTO of the Ethereum project, I guess, is a co-founder of Polkadot as well. And actually, it looks like the Polkadot itself is ran by the Web3 Foundation. So by no means is this any type of a joke. I mean, Web3 obviously is pretty huge. And I think it was actually Gavin Wood himself that ended up founding, I guess, the foundation itself. So let's go into Polkadot a little bit. So let's go ahead and briefly explain how the Polkadot chain really works. So there's one main chain for Polkadot called the relay chain, which essentially is where the network shared security is, the consensus, and where that cross-chain interoperability all happens, right, in that one chain. Then, of course, we have parachains, which are pretty much just coins that are built. You could almost call them side chains like we did with Komodo earlier, but pretty much coins that utilize, Polkadot's network and their functionality, specified depending on what the coin actually needs. And then we have parathreads, which essentially is kind of more like less of a parachain as well, but it's more of like a pay-as-you-go model, as they mentioned. And I guess it looks like it's more economical for blockchains that don't need continuous connectivity to the network. So parachains are pretty much like sidechains, and parathreads are like sidechains that don't really need to be on the network at all times. So pretty much like an offline coin, I guess you could say. That's pretty interesting. And then, of course, they have bridges as well, where they allow that interoperability to actually take place. And I think that was actually one of the main, I guess, pitches really for Polkadot. And that's what everyone was kind of talking about when it first went live a couple of months ago. And with that being said, one good example of how Polkadot could work is if, let's say there are two different chains, right? One private one and one public one. In this case, let's say the private one is a school, for example, that is holding multiple degrees, right? Like degrees like literally like a college degree. You don't want that being, of course, public, because then when it can see your information, your social security number, all that stuff. So what they could do essentially, or what Polkadot could come into play, is allowing this private chain to say, hey, we have, let's say, your boy Hunter, he graduated with a degree. We're going to send you proof so you can use this in your smart contract to prove that he actually graduated with a degree. So in this way, the public chain doesn't need all that information about me to know that I graduated with a degree. The private chain is sending them the degree, or pretty much telling them, hey, this guy graduated, he's good to go, without having to give them all my info, right? And again, so that kind of goes hand in hand with kind of a couple things here, really. Both privacy, so it allows you to keep your privacy while being able to interoperate with different blockchains. But at the same time, it allows these blockchains to interact in the first place. You wouldn't usually be able to do that unless all of that was just within, let's say, smart contracts in Ethereum. So they're saying that this can be done on totally, completely different blockchains. That's pretty huge, honestly, if that's the case, if that's exactly what they're going for. Now, I'm not exactly sure if all this stuff is live yet. I know the base chain seems to be live, but I know that, I mean, just recently they had a couple of issues with, I think, some validators or nodes not getting rewarded. So in terms of all of this being live yet, I don't think that's the case. If you know differently, please leave me know. Oh God, please let me know down in the comments below. And the last thing I wanted to mention about Polkadot is the actual framework that's used to build on it. Oh my God. And the last thing I wanted to mention about Polkadot was the actual framework that's used to build on it. And that's going to be called Substrate. And interestingly enough, we're not going to go too in depth with it. I just want to kind of make it clear why why I like this so much. You'll see down here that there's actually a video where Gavin Wood, it looks like himself, actually launched a blockchain within actually under 60 minutes on a brand new laptop. Now that's pretty impressive. Again, assuming that this is not Ethereum, for example, right? Because Ethereum's been around for a long time. Polkadot, again, this is literally just came out. And the fact that it's supposed to be that easy to use, both for users and developers, fire. Again, if you guys watched my videos before, you know I am a big fan of ease of use and making it easy for, whether it be people or like, general public, let's say like me, and developers to really use. Because it honestly, otherwise, if it's not easy, for the most part, no one's really going to use it, and it's going to be hard to adopt going forward, right? It's much easier to make an electric car nowadays than it is to retrofit, an old an old gas-powered car from the 80s, and turn that electric, right? Obviously it's a completely different scenario here, but you catch my drift. Now, in terms of pricing, we don't have too much of a history over here with Polkadot. As you can see, I mean, since it did go live not too long ago, the price hasn't really gone anywhere too nuts. I think too, this actually might be technically not a full chart, because Polkadot, I'm pretty sure, was trading as like IOUs before the actual mainnet went live. So you can see right now, it's currently $4.37 a dot. And honestly, again, there's really not that much history here, but I will tell you one thing, it's already ranked 9 in CoinMarketCap. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say that it's overvalued with what it's promising, because if what they're promising does end up coming to light, that's pretty amazing. I mean, come on, that's pretty dope, right? But on the same token, though, you never know, right? It could end up, disappointing the shit out of everyone, and people, just end up losing all their money. Let's go on to the next one. And last but definitely not least is going to be Lamden. Now, Lamden I made a video on actually a little while ago before the mainnet actually launched, but since then it's fully up and running, and it's actually working quite well. As you can see, we do have a couple of games here that you can actually connect your wallet with. In this case, Lamden has a extension on Chrome which you can connect there, and you can just plug and play some of these games. From a soccer game over to a zombie game. Granted, again, a lot of these games are going to be interacting with the Lamden blockchain itself. So don't expect this to be like some sort of Left 4 Dead type shooter, or like that, like a FIFA type soccer game by any means. But it's like one of your blockchain games that you play on Ethereum, for example, but it's on Landon instead, right? And that's crazy to me. I mean, honestly, again, being that they just launched this again not too long ago, I think it was in September, they fully launched their mainnet. It's pretty impressive with what they've been able to do so far. And in this case too, we do have a couple of other things. They were able to launch, I guess you could say, a beta version of an automated market maker, which essentially is, if you're not familiar, is pretty much a Uniswap for Lamden, where they said that they'll integrate a front end shortly. That was last month, so I'm not sure what the actual update is on that. But these guys are essentially all about making stuff easy for the general person, the general public, really, right? And I mentioned that earlier, but I have a passion for making things easy for people, bro. A passion, right? But not only that, it's also the fact that their blockchain is pretty much made for developers. And when I say made for developers, I really mean that it's made in Python. And they claim that with Python, development's actually up to 4 to 5 times faster than it would be on Ethereum. And again, that does help a lot, especially because most people know Python compared to people who know Solidity, right? I mean, you ask your average person who knows how to develop, chances are they're going to tell you they have no idea what the hell a Solidity even is, to be honest with you. So it's definitely a good way to onboard more people onto their platform to build. Not to mention, Developers are even rewarded more for actually participating in Lamden, where they receive 90% of all transaction fees processed through any smart contract that goes through Lamden, which is pretty nuts. I mean, yeah, especially again, if we're talking about, like, for example, the automated market maker, right? God, if someone ends up if they end up making a front end for that, whoever actually made, that contract itself is gonna be crazy lit, dude. Crazy lit. Especially if people start using it and building coins or tokens on Lambda, which honestly, it definitely looks like it's the way to go. Especially since apparently they're actually able to scale up to 100,000 transactions per second. You can see here we do have it says here transactions can take around 400 milliseconds to a second. But I was watching a video earlier on Landon itself, and that's what they were saying. Now they can really hit, honestly, over 100K transactions a second. Again, which is nuts. And this is going to be really important for adoption going forward. Again, one of the biggest problems with Ethereum, as I mentioned earlier, is just the fact that your transactions are slow as hell right now, and they cost a lot. Whereas Landon is kind of the opposite. So although Landon is very, very honestly, unknown to the most of the blockchain space, I think it is a great bet. I mean, not great, but I would say it's a great place to really kind of hedge your bets on, right? With definitely, in my opinion, one of those things where, like, you sprinkle a couple of dollars here, sprinkle a couple of dollars there, on a couple of Lamden tokens, and just see how it rides, because if you ask me, I think this is going to be a great way for Landon really just to get out there. Again, not to say that this is going to, straight up kill Ethereum. I mean, come on, bro. It's Ethereum. But it's definitely going to be a great alternative, especially for developers. And we can also take a look at the pricing for Landon, or Tau in this case, which is what the actual ticker for Tau is, for Landon is. And you'll see it pretty much, there was an all-time high quite some time ago. I guess Landon was, if you weren't aware, it was an ERC20 before they built their own blockchain. So they were kind of just making things before then. But it looks like they were hitting actually almost $1.50 at some point, $1.20. But I'll be honest with you, I almost wouldn't even really. I mean, obviously you got to take everything that's given. But as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much at its lowest right now. I mean, it's at 2 to 3 cents. And again, in terms of upside potential, I am not a charter by any means. None of this is financial advice. But listen, brother, your boy is in. And I'm talking about in, baby. We're in. Now, with all that stuff being said, are any of these projects going to essentially kill Ethereum? No, I don't think so. I don't think any of these projects will kill Ethereum. And strictly just because Ethereum has been around so much longer than all these projects, it has so much more adoption, it has so much more built on top of it, and it's really, honestly, it's the world internet, bro. I know people are really head set on saying that this new thing is gonna kill Ethereum, this new thing's gonna kill Ethereum. And listen, I gotta clickbait y'all somehow to get you to watch this video. No, I'm playing. But to be honest with you, no, I don't think it's gonna kill Ethereum. Honestly, the thing is that going forward, I don't think that there's gonna be one blockchain to rule them all. Ethereum isn't gonna be the one blockchain to pretty much kill everything else. It's really it may be one of the main ones, and right now it is, of course. But I don't think it's going to be the only one, right? I could definitely see one of these other projects that I mentioned here today, coming up and really just making a move in the space, especially while Ethereum is kind of chugging along right now, right? Until Ethereum 2.0 comes out, it's going to be hard to make the argument that, Ethereum can't be killed. And again, I don't think it's going to be killed per se, but in terms of, let's just say in terms of market share, I could definitely see one of these coins taking the head, especially Polkadot. I mean, Polkadot's already at number 9, but I would definitely like to see a little more development on their end because, I mean, listen, we spoke about Tau and Polkadot. I think Tau has a lot more development already done on that than Polkadot does. I don't want to get anyone mad. If I could be wrong in that case, if you are, please don't flame me in the comments. But that's just my opinion. Again, thank you guys for watching this video. And if it isn't obvious already, I fuck with all these projects that I mentioned here today, so please do take what I say with a grain of salt, and of course, be careful with what you put your money into, because it can go up just as easily as it can go down. See you guys in the next one.